contact is one of those terms you're going to hear time and time again in screen printing. But what is off contact? Well, simply put, that is the distance in between the substrate that we are printing on and the printing side of our frame. Now this is going to change in reference to your press depending on the thickness of the material or substrate you're printing on. Obviously, if we are doing a sweatshirt or a thicker material, our frame is going to be slightly higher off the platen due to the thickness of the material. To set up an off contact, though, is very simple. Each shop is going to tell you a different height. It could be as little as a 1/16 of an inch, or a dime, or a nickel that people will reference, up to a 1/4 inch. Again, depending on the shop and depending on their techniques. We're going to show you a quick and simple way to just do a 1/8 inch off contact. There's a few ways of doing it with simple things you can find around the home. We can use some stir sticks or a wooden yardstick. They work great. They're about roughly an 1/8 inch thick. We can put them across the platen on either side, front and back, or all four corners, bring the frame down. But to make this a little bit easier, we're actually going to just be using a sheet of plastic. This is a 4mm plastic known as Coroplast. You can get this on at McLogan.com, and this will help evenly space the entire frame up off the substrate surface. So we're going to set that on our platen and bring our frame down. Next, we're actually going to turn the plastic so that it's holding the frame up from the edges over the platen. We're only going to use a couple tools. I got a 1/2 inch and a 9/16 wrench. And on the back of this Hopkins press, we have a couple of 9/16 bolts that we're going to loosen. Now these bolts on the back, connecting the head directly to the pivot brackets, is going to adjust the entire frame height, the contact in total. So we can go completely up or down, but you can notice it can still shift in different directions. So we got to make sure our off contact is even in both directions. By putting this here, loosening these bolts, and then loosening the 4 bolts on the tilt adjustment, which are going to be 1/2 inch, we're going to allow this frame to kind of just float where it wants to be in its off contact position. So now I have full tilt adjustment, movability on everything. We can get our frame to where we want it to set. So by simply putting a slight amount of pressure towards the front of the frame, just slightly to make sure our contact is even, visually checking to make sure everything is even, we're going to slightly tighten our tilt adjustment bolts first. And we're going to do this in steps. We're not going to go ahead and tighten everything up at once. So this is going to be locking down our tilt of the frame itself. Once we're happy with that, then we'll go ahead and verify that our off contact is still at a good position. Looks good. So we'll go ahead and tighten these bolts as well. Again, in increments. If we tighten one bolt faster than the other, we can torque the frame or the brackets out of position, and this is going to mess up our off contact. We'll have to go back and repeat the process. After we've done that, we're going to go ahead and lift this up, take our spacer out, bring our frame down, and again check our off contact. Now we have a great off contact level here, so we're good to go. Now to ensure that off contact stays, because we're going to be putting so much pressure on this frame as we're printing, the front of this print is going to gradually want to go down. We use a few washers or spacers taped to the frame mesh, or preferably to the rails, to keep the spacing up off of that platen so it does not get messed up over time. That's how to set up your off contact. Hope this helped, and we'll see you soon.